Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Guess what, baby? The Cab original gangsters are back. We ain't playing no games with you tonight. Welcome back to Calling All Beings. I'm your host, DJ, and I am delighted to be joined by the original gangsters of Cab because guess what? Once a month, we're going to be bringing you something that's a little bit spicier, a little bit different. I shouldn't say spicier. Let's say different than true crime. We're going to be doing either something UFO related, something paranormal related, or our good friend from the forest. What's his name, Courtney?
Are you talking about the snowman? Yeah, the Yeti, the Mr. Snowman, as I like
the
to
abdominal
refer to him in
snowman.
Russia.
Yes.
Abdominal.
All right, so sitting right next to me is the co-creator of Calling All Beings, the incomparable from North Carolina, Money Nathan.
What is up, y'all? Man, it's good to do this show. Good to be back with you guys. Thank you very much. Everybody with me.
And just below me right there, we don't have a center square, so no Paul Lynn this evening, is one of the original gangsters, also of Calling All Beings, known as a study of UAPs. We like to call her Debs.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing? Welcome back, Debs. I'm sorry about your back. I wish we were there to walk on it or do some elbow business, but you know, the new addition who is not named Bobby Brown, but she is an Alaska and Montana resident. Put your hands together for the curly-haired Pennsylvanian where this movie was shot. Courtney connected.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back, homegirl. Good to see you. Are you okay? Is everything?
I am. I didn't know if it was my turn or not, so I was just waiting for a break.
It's your turn.
I'm excited about tonight, actually. I have watched the screening twice, and I'm just so excited to talk with these guys about their production, so it's going to be fun.
This was so dope. As soon as the gray skies, like I saw the gray skies of Brownsville, I was like, can I pull the covers like right up to like here? It's like when I saw Halloween 1. It was kind of like that vibe. So these gentlemen are Dockside Media. They did go to this town called Brownsville, Pennsylvania, where I listened to a podcast of a local politician, and just that scared the living hell out of me. So I could imagine when these guys got in there with their amazing team of paranormal investigators, mediums, intuitives, and so forth, it must have been just wow. So let's get started with Dockside Meeting. Party people, put them up on stage, Nathan. Put your hands together for Chris Rupert. Can anybody give me an amen for Chris Rupert?
Hey guys, thanks for having us. Tyler said he's joining back in because his internet was rough.
What? Tyler, we've got to speed up the internet, man.
Yeah, I don't know. He's in Lancaster, which is like where the Amish are and stuff. So the internet out there not as good.
Does he have like Philly. A donkey right now that's on like a treadmill that's
horse-drawn internet?
I wouldn't roll it out. Yeah,
in Lancaster, it's so funny.
Do you really?
And even one of the friends that was in the movie, she said she was from Shamokin, and that's right down down the road from where I grew up. So it's so funny because it's like all these hometown people. I love it. I love it that Pennsylvania's representing.
Yeah. No, I'm from Lancaster as well, but I don't live there anymore.
It's beautiful.
Courtney,
it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it is. Courtney, have you been to Brownsville?
No, I haven't. And
Okay.
I was going to ask you guys. I don't want to jump, cart ahead of the horse, but I'm just wondering if you guys are thinking about like the rep, of Brownsville and your movie. Well, maybe we'll get that to that
we can
later.
get into that then. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got one more intro to do right here. Somebody who's struggling with some damn Amish internet, but you know what? This brother got some talent, and he is a pleasure to speak with on the phone. I can guarantee you that. Party people, get the Cheeto dust off your fingers and put them together for Tyler Transue. Yeah, everybody do amen for Tyler.
DJ, thank you so much for having us on. My heart was breaking when you were doing the intro. I thought I was the only lively animated guy, get my hands and everything into it. I saw you going wild. I'm like messaging Chris, bro, I don't have audio. What's going on? So I have no idea what you said, but Tyler with Dockside Media, I'm the other half with Chris. We have a lot of fun putting these documentaries together, everything from aliens, UFOs, ghost hunting, paranormal, Sasquatch, you name it. We go out and film it and then edit it into, what you guys saw in Surrounded by Spirits. And we have a lot of fun doing it. And we're just trying to help destigmatize these types of topics and generate discussion. And it's been cool what's been happening all over the place, especially, with UFOs and whatnot and the drones on the East Coast. So yeah, we feel like we're amongst good people. We're picking up.
You is. Nathan, make sure when you do the stream, make sure to throw mine in there too, because there's a couple people that are like no DJ and they conflate call all beings and calling all beings, and they don't. So I just threw that up in there. So it's streaming from my personal channel as well.
Thank you, sir.
Just want to say hello to everybody up in the joint before we get started, before we get down to business, because we do have some cabo. So obviously, Julie's here. What's up, Julie? How you doing, homie? She's the original gangster of our mod crew. Kelly Steffi is here. Thank you, Kelly, for helping out and adding some great commentary last night when that girl Josie was going through the paranormal experience on air, which we're going to talk about that later. Kimberly McGuire. Hello, Kimberly. Welcome to the show. Who else we got in here? I got to scroll down because these are all the early folks that got here. Beatrice is here. What's up, Beatrice? She's a co-collaborator on the True Crime Unsolved of Cab. Sherry Dizzle is our other mod who's brilliant. And this gentleman right here is staying up real late in the UK. And Nicholas has been with us. He sent me a video where spirits look like they're sitting right next to him on the sofa as he's live, and blows my mind. Lulu Bell, Miss Jessica and Beezy, what's up, homie? And hello, these are true crime fans here. Lovely. And now we got to get into it, man. We got to get started with business. So Money Nathan, take the damn thing away.
All right, I'll do my best. So Chris, Tyler, great to have you guys with us. I want to start out with a little bit of background, because you guys have been prolific in creating these documentaries. They're really well done. Enjoy the comments, the content. You're looking at lots of different subjects. That's really cool. Where does that interest come from? Is there a personal connection to some of these particular subjects, or is it just a general fascination? So that's one question I want you to address. But the other I want you to talk about is the creative process itself, because I see a lot of creative work going on in your production. It's not just a very flat kind of show. There's a lot of cool angles, and you're looking at interesting subjects. And I like that kind of aspect to the documentary. And I wonder who's bringing that flavor to the production. So maybe we'll start with Chris, and we'll go to Tyler.
Well, I can speak to the creative aspect. Both Tyler and I are camera ops on these things, so it's. Dockside Media is just Tyler and I. We go out, we film everything, and we come back with a ton of footage and no storyline or anything in mind. It's just whatever we capture, we know we have to find what's there. And so I do all the editing, and it's a lot like making a statue. You just have a big rock and you chisel away until you find the storyline, and it's always there. With the alien stuff, those things are definitely a bit different than the paranormal investigations. Usually that's like just getting a few interviews and seeing parallels between the interviews and finding like patterns that arise. And so there you can kind of start crafting the film out of things that line up. With the investigations, we really have no idea what's going to happen, what you're going to get. And there's so much more footage because we're just filming hours and hours and hours. And then when we get back home, it's like, man, what an experience. But now I have to put it together into something that's not only interesting and engaging and entertaining, but makes sense and feels like, it feels like a story, even though it's really just telling a boiled down version of what happened to us, but in an entertaining and interesting way. And luckily so far, I mean, I think it's a testament to the people we've worked with, honestly, who are able to, we're behind the camera, they're in front of it. So they're way more important than us. And, working with these people, we always come away with such interesting things that happen. I'm the skeptical one of the crew. And I'm always blown away by what happens on these shoots. And I constantly, think, sometimes I'm just like sitting here thinking like, editing this footage. I'm like, man, this is a life. Like I get to be in this crazy old haunted hotel at 3:00 in the morning. I get to be in Gettysburg and like doing a ghost hunt at the middle of the basement from an old building, like just crazy stuff that never would have thought about. So that's like, it's just such a passion to make these things and come back home and craft something fun out of them.
I love it. Well, kudos to you on this production. It really was well crafted. And Tyler, I'd like to get your thoughts too on kind of the creative side of it, as Chris spoke to, but also maybe the genesis of Dockside Media.
Yeah, this baby all started. Well, our first doc came out in 2022. I guess it started in 2021, correct, Chris? The summer of 2021.
Sure. Yeah.
Chris was like, we've known each other from high school. But weren't like great friends or anything. Yeah, shout out high school. We're coming up on 40. Let's go.
Right.
But
right.
but yeah, so Chris, we both saw each other on Facebook socials, like doing filmmaking, and had a little experience working together on a few different things. And he was like, hey, dude, would you want to make documentaries? I was like, yep, let's do it. And he was like, yeah, we should do something like interesting, like, ghosts, UFOs, Sasquatch. I'm like, yep, I'm sold. That would be super fun to go and just adventurous, man. We go on these adventures. It's sick, dude. I'm almost 40 years old. And yeah, like we went, for anybody real familiar with the paranormal community, dude, we had the opportunity back in this past June, 2025, to go film with Amy Bruni. And we filmed a 6-episode docu-series titled Historically Haunted with Amy Bruni. She's a massive, well-known paranormal investigator on kindred spirits and ghost hunters and all that. So it's just crazy. We go from Chris mentioning, hey, do you want to start making documentaries, whatever, like 4.5 years ago or 3.5 years ago, to, man, getting those types of opportunities and just releasing Surrounded by Spirits, and our work just keep getting better. And really it started with, I saw a Reddit post for the Calling All Beings, the fans out there, they might be familiar or recall Anjali. She's a former Department of Defense intelligence officer. So I happened to see that Reddit post saying, hey, she's going in front of the Lincoln Memorial to give like a press conference regarding these beings that she had contact with, and trying to arrange a team to go out and an expedition to go out and investigate. I'm like, Chris, dude, I don't know what we're going to make, but like, the guts for somebody to go and do this, and a former intelligence officer, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, like I'm going to go down and capture it. We'll figure out what to do with it. And that was really how it all started. Went and just filmed it. Had spoken to her like on, through emails and Reddit some, and she allowed me to mic her up, and that's that type of thing. And then from there, we noticed this lady, Sue Walker, who's a telepath out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her experiences, she's been in contact with the Ponte, which are a set of extraterrestrials in the Sandia Mountains. So, and I could go on and on for days, but basically, yep, we make that connection. Boom. We get hooked up with another person, Clifford Mahudi, who was on Ancient Aliens, blah, blah. The rest is history. We, like Chris said, we don't go into these things with like, oh, dude, here's a storyline we should try and hit. Let's try and lead people in this direction. It's like, no. like you guys give us your experience, depending on if it's interviews with encounters or government officials or seeing alien aircraft, whatever it may be. It's like, oh no, just share with us like your experience, man. We don't judge anybody. And so it's been really cool to go and do these things, and just, I don't know, the universe delivers every single time. And Chris always finds a great storyline in all the footage and drama that we've captured. So
I love it. I love that you're chasing that dream and it's just kind of leading you in these cool places. It's really exciting. And we can relate to that on this show. We certainly can. We've been thrown together and in some ways by happenstance, but it feels in a way almost like it's been planned out. So I'm really excited to see that journey that you guys are on together. I'm going to pass it off to Deb. I know she's got some burning questions that she wants to ask, so we'll pass it over to her.
That's my homegirl.
Okay, so one of the things I noticed that you were really worried about having a story when you were making this documentary, but the whole time I was so fascinated by the people that to me was the bigger story than the paranormal. It was almost like it was an investigation of the investigators. So since it's not necessarily what everyone else is going to say the story is, I just wanted you to say what you think was the biggest takeaway from this documentary.
Oh yeah, well, I think you nailed it there. The movie is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Did you say something else, Deb?
I was going to just pick who went first. You go.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, you nailed it though. The story is those people and what happened there, and the dynamics, and even us included. There was, and Becky says this several times throughout the movie, but discord is the underlying kind of theme that happened while we were investigating. People went in there happy and looking for a great kind of fun time investigation, and things went a little bit off for everyone. Conflicts, Tyler and I getting frustrated. I know the investigators getting frustrated, the psychics getting frustrated, and I'm not going to give away the end of the movie or anything, but like the end that happened in the moment when I was there, I was like, this feels like I'm at the end of a movie. Like it felt, the energy was so alive because of the kind of journey we all went on. Started out real fun, got into fights and stuff. Like it wasn't midway through. We were like, what is going on here? Like, this is not what we thought was going to happen. But it all came to a head, and we just literally just talked to Becky, I don't know, a couple of days ago. Like everything's great. Like we love her. But during this time, man, everybody was kind of put through the ringer. So when I was putting the movie together, it was like, that was like the biggest part of it is the journey that the people went through. There's tons of cool, supernatural ghost stuff in the film as well. But I don't know if there's been another paranormal kind of documentary like this that kind of shows behind the scenes stuff.
And again, that was something that wasn't pre-planned.
No.
Right, Chris? We didn't go into it saying, oh, like we're never in our documentaries. It was just like, oh man, the universe delivered us these circumstances where, yeah, everybody's kind of getting at each other. And Chris is like, you know what? We need to include this in the film. I'm like, bro, that is an excellent idea, because yeah, this is a big part of what's going on. And hopefully people that do paranormal investigating will just see the authenticity of what these people are doing. It's like, yeah, sometimes we don't, sometimes you don't get anything.
Yeah.
Right. Or sometimes there are conflicting reports, the intuitives or mediums might get something, but the people with the paranormal equipment may not. Right. And, so
there's an aspect to it there, the authenticity that you're speaking of, Tyler. It's like, I can understand the pressure, like the lead investigator, this being Becky Ann Galantine, had on this investigation insofar as, hey, we hit roll on those cameras, something's got to happen, right? Like she feels pressured to produce results, but she has, her conviction and stuff. She will not, like, there is nothing fake, nothing like that. Like she's going to do what she's going to do, and she's going to do it the way she thinks it needs to be done.
Yes.
Hell or high water, and be damned if the footage is good or not, which I do fully respect. And so that's just part of it. Like I want people to come away with knowing, like, the authenticity, I think, of the people in the film and the film itself.
Yeah, that's what came across, and that was kind of what I was going to ask you. Was the other question I wanted to ask you, that I'll get to next, is going to be about sort of what resonates with you in terms of UFOs, Bigfoot, and paranormal. But for this first question, I'd like to go to how you selected each of these team members and why you picked each one.
We actually relied on the lead investigator, Becky Ann Galantine. She had said, "Hey, I've got like a medium. I've got another paranormal investigator that can help out." And so again, Chris and I, we went into it. We were thinking there was going to be three people on camera, 3 investigators. We get to the Black Horse Tavern in Brownsville, and we got 6 people there. We're like, okay,
Wow.
all right. Well, I'm
Cool.
glad we got enough mics with us. Thankfully we brought extra. And so yeah, it was just there was no selection on our part other than Becky. We had worked with her on our films, Ghost in the Graveyard, Pure Pandemonium, which was a paranormal investigation of the ghost town of Pandemonium. It was the cemetery of Pandemonium, Pennsylvania. It's out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's no towns or buildings around, a couple like foundations, out in the middle of the mountains. Wow. But we did that. And then we worked with her doing The Ghost of Grand Midway, which was investigating this haunted, man, what would you call it, Chris? Haunted hotel, but the Grand Midway Hotel, but it was like an Andy Warhol art collective. It's got the world's largest Ouija board up on the roof, like it's in the Guinness World Record plot. So we had just worked with her. She's always been a pleasure to work with, and we always appreciate her just being authentic and herself and not trying to ham stuff up. So it's like, oh, dude, if we really get something that's wild, like, dude, this is sick. Like, this is really wild. And it's always interesting for Chris. As mentioned, he's like the very skeptic, he's the largest skeptic here out of the group. And so it's always cool when he gets these weird gut feelings and stuff. Cause man, I really can't explain what just happened right there.
Yeah.
But we trust in Becky. She does great.
Yeah, whatever that is on that on-screen presence, Becky has that. I just want to say before I pass it to Court, Miss Jessica, I see you have some questions. We are going to get to those. I have starred them. And I want to say to Brit Gal, this is not a horror movie. This is a documentary, a paranormal investigation, and it's done extremely well with really legit investigators. And but we are going to get to those, but we can't go no further till we turn it over to our Pennsylvania homegirl, Courtney Connected.
Hey, I love the mention of Gettysburg, you guys, because I got to tell you, from being from Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania, which is, it's up north. It's about an hour, maybe an hour and a half north of Gettysburg. I have friends that actually go down to Gettysburg to like the Gettysburg Fair, and they do, psychic stuff, and they tell me all about it. So I'm just loving all these small town connections. It's really cool. So everybody's already asked all my like top list questions. So I'm going to try to like bring my question into a whole integrated thing. Because some new things are coming to mind as you're talking. But the thing that stood out to me the most was the Black Horse Tavern and its effect on everybody. Not only the investigators and the mediums, Seth, his reaction to everything was incredibly powerful. You could tell he was being affected by something, but it really was you two. It was the filmmakers being brought into the discussion around the storyline kind of not appearing, having to get your hands in there, questioning things as you're going through this process, right? And you've been through it before, so you're experienced. Yeah. This wasn't new to you. So I have to ask you, first of all, have you ever seen Charlie Kaufman's adaptation, the movie adaptation?
Yeah.
Have either of you seen it? Okay, so the scene where they're like grappling with bringing themselves into the movie. And they're writing, and they're these brothers. So that's like right now I'm like thinking of you two as like the brothers in adaptation who are questioning the existential value of bringing yourselves into the script. So That's pretty funny because you grappled with that. You already talked about it. So you don't
For
need
sure.
to like revisit it, but that's how I'm seeing you right now. But the problem with it was that you guys were affected, right? You were affected. Your relationship was affected. Your decision making, I think it's fair to say, was affected on site while you were filming. And you showed that and you chose to show it. I thought that was a powerful moment. So the thing I wanted to ask, which I'm sure the audience members want to know, is like, how you guys detangled from that, right? From leaving the Black Horse Tavern, how you cleansed yourself, whatever you did. I know that you know about Skinwalker and Hitchhikers. So I just wanted to ask, when you guys departed from these various locations, did you feel like you were affected by it and you couldn't shake it? Like you couldn't shake the effect of what you felt at the Black Horse Tavern when you went home at night?
That's a hard question, honestly, because we were definitely affected just from the whole experience. So, like we filmed the nonstop. Like we we were exhausted. We were emotionally drained. The ride home, that frustrations and stuff were still there. Tyler and I, it was like a 5 or 6 hour drive, I think. We just talked the whole time, and like what just happened? And I don't know if that was from what we experienced at the Black Horse Tavern or just an effect of filming nonstop with everyone and everyone's frustrations and stuff bubbling over. But either way, and I'll say this like a skeptic person, like it left a lasting effect on me for sure. A little scar maybe or something, but I'm so proud of the film. I think it's Tyler and I's, best film we've put out.
Hell yeah. That was awesome.
And, to me, I have to remind myself, like, this is just Tyler and I doing everything. Like when we got there were 6 people, and, we didn't have a sound guy. We got me and Tyler, 2 cameras or maybe 3, but that third one, no one's going to be watching it. So it's just sitting there on sticks. Do you know what I mean? And we're running around trying to get stuff while 6 people are kind of commanding what's happening. And it's just so overwhelming. So when I go back and I watch the film now, I'm like, man, this is actually really good. We should be proud.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, Tyler, just hang on one second. The other thing, you can answer this too when you get into your portion, but did you guys see anomalous stuff that interacted with your equipment? That was the other thing I wanted to ask you. Any disruptions or any problems filming, anything that you felt disrupted your actual filming equipment?
So we had some battery issues. Occasionally we'll have battery issues, like, this thing is fully charged. We put it in the camera and it dies quickly. Not a ton of stuff with our personal equipment being affected. I know there was some weird stuff where, like, I don't know what was going on, maybe just the nature and spirits of the town, but like I spent like 15-20 minutes filming all these dope drone shots of the wrong house. We're outside Black Horse Tavern, and like I'm the house right down beside it. Like, I mean, like I was in there. I was there all day, and I just spent 15-20 minutes just filming sick B-roll shots of the wrong place, and it was.
We went to the wrong place so many times. We went to the neighborhood, and they're completely different houses. It's not like a cookie cutter. It was like and we just kept going to the wrong house. It was so bizarre.
Yeah. And as far as your earlier question about like how do you feel like when you're leaving, like, Chris and I, man, you're really drained, but at the same time, you're so excited for what you just, you captured. We knew we had something because the end was just epic. And we couldn't explain it. And then 2, man, we literally love filmmaking so much. Chris, you remember the last hour and a half? We're talking, all right, we got to let's film a UFO doc about investigating nuclear for it and everything out. Like we just filmed, this 3-4 day journey, which again, dude, Chris and I were filming from 8 a.m. till 2 a.m. I mean, not the entire time. We got to move from location to location. We get other interviews. We happen to stumble upon people like the Rocky Brashear, the guy from the Nemacolin
The house.
Castle and
Mhm.
the Historical Society, etc. It's like, oh, dude, he wasn't on our radar. Like, we're there in town, and we bump into him and get his interview. Well, we bump into another guy who's right by our Airbnb. Him and his dad had experiences. We interviewed them. We get connected to Rocky Brashear. It's like, oh, dude, this is crazy. If we came in with this plan, we wouldn't have gotten anything like it. So it's just really awesome, man, that I don't know. We just have faith. Like, oh, we make sure we got enough stuff to do that we can make a documentary, but we always keep our eyes and hearts open to like, oh, dude, like if stuff comes up that's interesting, let's go for that too. We'll figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really exciting to watch. I mean, the vibe. There are lots of characters in this documentary. You know, the city of Brownsville itself has clearly its own vibe in Pittsburgh. It's just this incredible landscape, rich history. It feels like there's mystery just kind of waiting around every corner. Every house is a little bit different. They're old enough to where they've got these legacies, legacy families, legacy stories. And then, you know, from my perspective, I have not watched a ton of paranormal documentaries, but the ones that I have seen didn't do the kind of work that you guys did to showcase the investigation team. And I found that to be really the most interesting aspect of the entire documentary is just these personalities and the fact that you guys were just two of you doing the filming is really mind-boggling.
Amazing.
When you look at some of these shots and how they were happening kind of simultaneously, different places, it's really amazing work. But the kind of skill set that this team had and how the decisions were made to kind of pair a couple of folks up and then mix up the pairings and then, you know, do certain kinds of tests and do other kinds of tests. I mean, honestly, it looked like they had all been doing this together for a really long time, but the way you're describing it, it's almost like they just got thrown together on the day that you showed up. So if you could kind of speak to the human component of this, right? That there are personalities, there are intentions, and a lot of the paranormal experience seems to be tied up in that human energy. It's not just about whether they're dead or alive. It's just that the human energy, period. And so what was it like kind of just being present with this group of really interesting folks as they're striving to try to tease out these mysteries that are occurring in the town? I'll start with you, Chris.
Courageous folks.
Yeah, I mean, your comment about you don't watch a lot of like paranormal documentaries. Well, neither do we, honestly. Like, like, not to like put things down, but our movies aren't like the Zach Baggins stuff or anything where it's like very dramatic and very exciting all the time. Because we don't. I'm not saying they fake anything, but we don't we film what we film and what happens. And real life isn't always dramatic every 3 seconds.
Right.
And so, yeah, our movies tend to focus a lot on the people in them more than just the ghosts that we're trying to hunt. But as far as like the group dynamic, I think the way these things operate the best is when you have a leader, and Becky was the leader. And she kind of came in with a plan for each location. And that's where a lot of the drama came from too, because you would have investigators searching a room or investigating a room and not really finding anything. But then, a medium would go in there and detect something. And I remember on the first night at the Black Horse Tavern, I was in the attic with Jules and Viva, and they were doing an SD session and I was filming. And it was very creepy because we heard noises, and I'm pretty sure it's in the movie where it was like a bang, and Viva's like, "What the F was that?" And I was like, "I don't know what that was, but I definitely heard it." And everybody else was 3 stories down in the basement. So then when we go and kind of reconnect after that first night, and Becky kind of shut down the location saying like, "Yeah, there's nothing really happening here." Meanwhile, the skeptic guy, was like creeped out. I heard stuff. The mediums are commenting on things, and that's where the frustration started to happen, because Tyler and I are like, wait a second, we just filmed what I thought was some amazing stuff for the last 5 hours, and our lead here is saying like, no, not really. But I think it all starts to make sense by the end of the film. in the way that this town and the places we went and the dynamics of the people, everything kind of was maybe a little bit manipulated by the whole situation, like a push, a discord, as it were. But by the end, I felt like we all came back together in a way. So I don't know. 6 people's a lot of personality, all smashed together, who haven't all worked together before. So that breeds all kinds of things. You know what I mean? So Tyler and I were just there trying to survive, and yeah, it was an experience.
I mean, it never felt forced. I mean, it never felt like there was this really challenging effort to get everybody working together. It felt very seamless. So that's a kudos to Becky, but also just the kind of work that you guys put into this, setting it all up. Tyler, when it comes to the the locations themselves, I mean, you guys bounced around to some different spots, and like Chris was talking about, you kind of felt like you were hot, and then you were all of a sudden at this other place, and that kind of felt cold, and that came through a lot. Where you wanted to be and where you thought the action was going to take place. Did you feel like you were in a way kind of just led through this production, like you had a plan, but then it just kind of thrown out the window, and the production kind of took over, the locations took over, and you were kind of following their lead? How do you kind of process that as you're maybe running up against a wall there and not quite getting what you thought you were going to get?
Yeah. It all depends on the on the documentary or the like the docu-series. Sometimes like with the Historically Haunted with Amy Bruni, she put her faith in us to like, oh, I trust that these guys can get me a number of locations. And dude, Chris, what we go to, like 20 over 7 days.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like
crazy.
Ridiculous. I mean, it's nuts. So I love doing that, reaching out and content. But for this one, we trusted in Becky. We got there. There were some questions about if we could get into some places. So Chris and I, we were kind of really pushing for stuff. It was like, oh, I can maybe get us into the Brashear house, which is the former house of the famous astronomer John A. Brashear, who created the telescope. But yeah, so I think that one was maybe like Chris and I had to we're like, oh yeah, like we weren't sure if we were getting in. It's like, okay, now like we'll step in. We'll do whatever we can to get in here. And then we ended up getting in. And what even, again, it was interesting. We investigated, they investigated, it was called Maria's Lover's House, which was the set or house used in an old, what was it, like 80s movie, Chris? 80s French movie or something like that. And so that one, yeah, wasn't on our radar. They ended up, the team of paranormal investigators ended up booking that Airbnb just because they thought it was cool. And then it turns out they're getting reports from the owner saying, hey, just a heads up, there's been some, reports of these hauntings or paranormal activity. It's like, wait, what? Are you serious? Out of all the places we picked or they picked to stay. So yeah, it's always kind of a toss up between sometimes, yeah, we have the stuff locked in. Sometimes we don't, but in our guts, we're like, bro, we know there's more. And so when we heard, the one gentleman, Rocky Brashear, mentioned, hey, this used to be called, I think it was the City of Churches, because there was like 12 different denominations. It's like, oh, bro, we're spending an hour. We're cruising around. We're getting some B-roll of churches, getting the drone up, etc. Then later at the Brashear house, it's like, oh, I don't want to give stuff away, but somebody might see something above a church steeple and say, it's just like, oh, dude, all these cool, dope connections that, yeah, we 99.9% we couldn't plan for, any better than it played out.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if we are going to a town ahead of time or anywhere, we always have try and get locations that we think have a history of something paranormal, haunting, something happening there, as opposed to just a place that no one has ever, experienced anything. Because, we're not trying to set ourselves up for failure. We want to obviously capture something, and the likelihood of past experiences there obviously gives us, a higher chance of finding something.
Yeah, it felt incredibly authentic. So kudos on that.
Real quick, Nathan, dude, it fills our hearts with so much joy when you mention just like, oh, the shots look smooth or
Mhm.
cinematic, or oh, the framing up. Like, dude, I don't know. For two guys that didn't go to, filmmaking school or anything like that, right? We just started on our cell phones. And we're editing it on our cell phones. And okay, well, let's buy a camera. Okay, well, let's get a drone. Oh, let's get our remote pilot's license so we can fly it, commercially to use in like, dude, we just keep going and going. So if anything, I hope some of your cabbies out there that are passionate about something like, dude, if you really like it and enjoy it, like, dude, go do it a bunch of times. Like, you'd be surprised. You'll get better at it, like, guaranteed, especially if you like it and enjoy it. So, dude, we always, like, my heart, I almost fall over every time I hear somebody just mention about, like, dude, these shots are like really cool and they look great. It's like, that's what we're trying for.
Well, I just recently got a new camera, so it was very inspiring, and I'm ready to get out there and start taking some more photos. So thank you for lighting that fire with me.
Yeah, get a gimbal, bro. If you're doing any video, get a gimbal, dog.
Okay.
It'll take your production value from here, like, through the roof. I mean,
Wow.
it almost, like, if we didn't tell you it was two guys, I think a lot of people would assume,
Yes.
this was like a large studio putting this together. This
We
looks
did.
like it has
We
a
did.
ton of money put into it. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, agree.
That's why you guys are so dope, is because you did make it look like you said, a production. And we have questions in the chat. So when Nathan finishes, I'm going to go to the chat and get their question. Nathan, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I was going to pass it off back to Deb, but please take it over.
Yeah, because we got folks that got questions and we don't want to it's like bread. You don't want to let it get stale. Otherwise, you got to make, croutons out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, let's see what we got here. So let's start out with Lovely, and then I know that our moderator, Miss Jessica and Beezy, has some good questions. But amazing panel. Don't you ever get scared? Please share one of your memories about what you did to protect yourself and your team. From Lovely, a member. Thank you for being a member, homegirl. We appreciate you.
It's seen in the movie, but there was one point where we have to go do something, and we're told, and like, dude, these people were dead serious. They're like, Chris, especially you, I know you don't believe this, but you have kids. And when they say this phrase, Malkuth, dude, you need to say it 3 times.
Say it.
And I'm like, Chris, you need to, dude, I'm saying it. You need to say it. And we did. So, that's one thing that we've done to help. And I remember, honestly, when I flew out to interview Sue Walker, and again, this is for our documentary, Conscious Contact, Full Disclosure, the first one we made. She mentioned, hey, sometimes when people leave here, the Ponte, these extraterrestrials, they tend to be pranksters, and they kind of like, they'll go and check in on these people or play little pranks on them. I'm like, okay, cool. I'd be cool with it. That's fine. No big deal. Dude, sure enough, like, some odd things happened when I returned home. My son, he has cystic fibrosis. There's this very special medication he takes. Oh, dude, and with the CF, he's healthy as a horse, bro. His lung function, 140% of what it should be for a kid his height and weight without CF. So he's like a beast, a miracle. It's insane. But dude, his medication like disappeared 3 nights in a row. There was like instances of like, all the doors, whatever. We're in the living room, like a plastic bag moves. And there's like never any dread. Dude, there was just a number of things. There was one more and I can't recall it right now. But I was like, dude, I'll be darned, Chris. I can't explain this. And I even contacted Sue and mentioned, Sue, these are some weird things that happened since I returned home. And she's like, hey, I'll say something to Ponte, like, hey, please stop just, teasing them. Even though you mean no harm. And sure enough, I mean, the stuff then stopped, but it was weird. I couldn't explain it.
I know Nathan's answer to this one. Have you ever experienced something you just couldn't explain? And I think for him, it would be why he decided to do a show with me. I think he's still trying to figure that out 3.5 years later. Nathan, I think it's going to come to you soon, though. I really do.
I'll never be able to explain it. No.
So, yeah. All right. Thank you, Ken Hathaway from Nottingham, England, for becoming a new cab member. We appreciate it, mate. And Miss Jessica and Beezy, our moderator, from Chicago, Illinois, got a question for you there, Chris. What was the most prolific encounter you have had that you couldn't feel down to your soul, your whole body? How did it make you feel in the days after? That's my Chicago accent. Sorry.
That was good. That was perfect.
That was really good. We might need if we need B-roll of a dude from Chicago, DJ, we're hitting you up.
You know what? I got you covered there, Tyler. It's not a problem, and I work for nothing. Okay.
To answer the question though, the end of the film was probably that. I mean, I'm in the shot. Like something happens, and Tyler's camera pans over to me, and I have a face of like, what? It's just stuff lined up so crazy in that basement at the end of the film. And like I was saying earlier, like when we got in there, because I remember distinctly Tyler was saying like, you have to say Malkuth. They came up to me. It's not in the movie because we weren't rolling cameras, but I remember them saying, you got to do this. You got to. They were so dead serious. It was like everything was so. Emotions were so high. It felt so dramatic at that time. We go down in that basement. Felt like soldiers going down, like facing something. Like because everybody was scared. By the end of the film, the only two people that like Becky and Amanda are the ones that went down there, and me and Tyler go down there. And it was like there was like electric in the air. Like it felt like I was watching a movie, but I was in it. It was crazy. Can't explain it. You know. Things were said and things happened, and it was intense. I hope it comes across in the film. I don't think it will ever come across as like to me what it was like completely, but yeah, it was crazy. I did have somebody had asked earlier like a scary moment. When we did the film the Ghosts of the Grand Midway. That building is so big and it was so cold and it was like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. And I remember I had to go the whole way up to the top level into this room that had like these creepy dolls and there's like big like clowns and stuff in the hall. And it was like, I didn't experience anything at that moment, but it was the creepiest. I like ran out of there. I was like, this is
Chris,
crazy.
I'm out, man. Yeah, I'm right behind you, brother.
It was scary.
Right behind you, man. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Not happening. Standing Stones want to say, they talk about the cold. And so he was boiler, he would go and fix boilers and burners. And he kneeling down by the oil tanks. I mean, he said he's been in thousands of homes and he feels like a lot of them were haunted. And you say, hey man, I'm just here to fix the burner. Please, hey man, I'm not the rules of engagement. I am not a legal target here. So Jessica NBZ wants to know, do different mediums specialize in different categories, as they say in England?
Go ahead, Tyler.
Anyone? Tyler!
Good question. Honestly, Chris and I, we wouldn't know enough about it. That says, yeah. But we just personally don't.
They seem to be gifted in different ways. That's what I would say they're gifted in different ways. And there's some that use the tarot cards and stuff like that to pull stuff. Others that just have intuitions. Others that feel the need to draw and see things ahead of time. Like it's interesting. They're all different. Seth in this movie, man, it's not in there's a moment in the movie where he says, what did you say? And I'm like, I didn't say anything. And they're like, he didn't say anything. He told me later what he thought I said. And I was like, I would never say that, Seth. But that's what he had heard in the moment. And dude, if you see that footage of him saying, what did you say? There's no faking that. That guy was messed up at that moment. Like he was to his limit. So yeah.
You guys, it was really cool that you guys gave them latitude to be able to, because I'm sure there are probably production staffs out there that kind of can manhandle the talent a little bit and, and you guys allow them that sort of space to be able to say things when they felt something and to be in command of certain moments where they should be in command and not you. And I thought that was really cool, but we will get back to stuff in the chat, but we got to get to my homegirl because her back hurts and she was not going to miss this show. We're talking about Debs.
Okay, so I was thinking about the Blair Witch Project a little bit when I watched this documentary because of the way the tensions built up. But and I wanted to bring that up because there's another aspect, another character that hasn't really been emphasized, and that was the entire town was a character. Like that's the entire town had a lot of paranormal energy, right? And they even alluded to it at one point that maybe it's all connected. So my question is, when you're facing something like that, and when people that you're filming are telling you that there's not just spirits, there's other things, and I'm not going to specify what those other things are. I want people to watch the film. Doesn't it make you want to go in and do some deep research so you're prepared before you're filming? Like, doesn't that make you turn around and go, you know what? Maybe we cannot just be observers here. Maybe we really need to know what's going on before we step into this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we didn't do that obviously with this film, but the town itself, like it is a really interesting place because it's like an old Rust Belt town that's kind of depressed at this point. Like it's beautiful area, but the town is definitely feeling like the economic impact of it all. And I just remember there's like a huge bridge to cross the. I'm not going to say. I think it's like the Monongahela River.
Monongahela.
Monongahela River, and
Monongahela, yeah.
hate I hate heights and I hate bridges, and so going into the town, like my anxiety was through the roof. But then when we filmed it there the whole time, there was like a malaise over the whole town. It was all dreary and kind of a little bleak while filming. But as far as like looking into the history and stuff, we didn't really do too much of that. We allowed we had set up interviews with historians and stuff like that who we thought would have way more information than we would be able to find.
And I guess it's my question now. So guys, where did you bill it at night? Did you bill it near the location? And if so, like what were the dynamics of the team at night, or did everybody kind of just go back to the hotel and just crash because they were exhausted, or were there any get-togethers where you guys would talk about the day's events and so forth?
Go. You want to answer that, Tyler? Go ahead.
Tyler.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, no. The team would go back to the Airbnb, or there were two, Jules and Dominic, I believe they were traveling in from Philly. I'm sorry, from Pittsburgh, which was like an hour drive. So God bless them, dude. They were, there at 8, 9, 10 a.m. in the morning, filming till midnight, driving an hour back to Pittsburgh, getting it, 4 hours of sleep, driving back. Like, dude, everybody in the film, Becky Ann Galantine, Amanda Paulson, Viva, Melissa, I believe, Seth Browder, Jules Nolan, and Dominic Lagamba. Dude, everybody, dude, they were just amazing, man. Like nobody complained, and there was like plenty of stuff to like complain about.
I complained,
but oh yeah,
I'm a complainer.
Chris gets hangry. Chris gets pretty hangry. So
I'm not gonna lie.
Filming for about 12. Dude, I run on adrenaline, caffeine, nicotine. I'm going. But Chris, yeah, I'm like, I'll eat when we're dead. Like we can't stop filming. But Chris, yeah, he gets a little touchy. But yeah, no, everybody was like, man, above and beyond, contributing their skill set to the making of Surrounded by Spirits.
That is so cool, man. I could imagine like if those guys, got together for a dinner, that would like I would want to like be seated in the table, like around their table, like not to be at the table and like break their vibe, but I would want to be sitting like right there, kind of like in between listening. That would be really, really cool, man. Because that I really, if Becky is the one that picked them, I really thought they were all brilliant. You know, you had the young lady with the tarot cards. Um, I just thought like it was a great collection. You had the other young lady that was using the headphones with the is that like the spirit box, a newer version of the spirit box?
Yep. The Estes method, yeah. Or she
Yes,
has
man.
her own slight variation of it called the L method, I believe. And that was Amanda
That's so
Paulson.
dope,
But yep.
man. I hope you guys use
yeah.
them again on
No,
another movie, man.
Yeah, we actually worked with
Oh, we
Amanda again. Yeah, on Amanda is a co-investigator on the Amy Bruni series, the Historically Haunted with Amy Bruni. So she's in that. That's a 6-part miniseries to be determined where it will be released, but hopefully sometime in the near future.
And before I pass it over to my curly-haired co-host, give me your. Can you guys? I would like both Chris and Tyler to go through UFOs, Bigfoot, paranormal, and your kind of what you like, what resonates with you or doesn't resonate with you of those three perhaps interconnected phenomena. But can you address each one of those, please? Each of you.
So like kind of what we think about them.
Sure.
UFOs are super interesting to me because even being the skeptic that I am, I don't. There's no way that there isn't other life out there. And so I am just drawn to hearing people who are legitimate with their personal experiences. I love to hear it. And what really is interesting to me is when many different people across the world have experiences and they're telling their personal experience, and then you hear something that someone else said as well, and you start to see the patterns there, and it's like, okay, maybe there's something to that. Sasquatch for me is super fun of an idea. And, you know, looking at like people don't have an understanding of how vast some of these forests are and how there could possibly be something else in those woods that hasn't been seen yet. So there is that element to me, but just as like a concept, I think is just super interesting and kind of fun. The ghost stuff, I don't know anymore. Like when you would have asked me before, I'd be like, I don't know. It's more like entertainment. But now having done this a bunch of times, there's definitely something else to it. And maybe it's not the movie sense of a ghost that you see, like a haunting, like so in your face, but there's definitely have been experiences now where I come away with my emotions being affected and changed, and just something about the energy of those locations or something like that, or the experiences I had there. And then of course, you know, we've had things show on camera and sounds and stuff like that that are also you know, line up. Either they lined up perfectly for what was happening, or it was something else. So that's kind of my thoughts on all those things.
Yeah, and for me, I've always been very open-minded. Man, the universe is a big place, dude. And like, if you would have told somebody 100 years ago, oh, you'll have access to all the information in the world on this little device in the palm of your hand, and you'll be able to create your own shows called Calling All Beings, and you'll have cabbies, bro, which look like the most insane fans I've ever seen, because your chat feed has been blowing up this entire time. Like, dude, who would have ever thought we could do that in 100 years? So gosh, dude, another 100, 200, 300 years, man, who's to say what we'll be doing, what kind of technology will be available? So it's like, as far as aliens go, if some other intelligent life happened to evolve at a similar trajectory and they started just 300 years before us, oh, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody visiting us and maybe just monitoring us. Dude, we do tons of scientific studies on uncontacted tribes, right? Like we won't contact them, but dude, they're looking up, seeing airplanes and stuff, saying, what? How is that possible? We can't fly. We don't have wings, right? And birds made of feathers, not metal. They don't. So, dude, I love it all. And so it's been a cool ride watching Chris, like when he answers like your types of questions like this, just how far he's come and just being open-minded to these types of things. And man, I'll give you another. I'll cover the Sasquatch and UFOs. When I was out filming Secrets of the Sasquatch, I was like camping in, I can't remember the state forest right now, but I'm just camping in the state forest. I'm like, yeah, we'll see what happens. And sure enough, like I see a UFO couldn't explain it. I don't know, moving from like right to left and then it stopped and like went straight down. Who knows? There could be like some prosaic explanation for it. But at the time it was like 20 degrees out. I'm like, dude, I've got to build a fire or I'm going to die. So I couldn't like commit too much brain power to to like trying to figure out what was going on. But yeah, I don't know, man. I love all this stuff. And as far as ghosts go, yeah, dude, I'm not sure. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. Heck, I get an email from DJ this evening with the link to hop on this show. And it was like I was searching through my emails for our correspondence so I could email him, hey, DJ, can I get a link so I can get on here? And it's like, boop, notification, DJ. I'm like, dude, what? I don't know. Definitely could be a coincidence, but I also wouldn't be surprised if, man, there's some like quantum entanglement going on and the electrons in my head are spinning clockwise and your head are going counterclockwise. And I don't know, somehow we both had that idea at the same darn time. So I love it, man. I'm excited to see, like, as Chris and I keep doing this stuff, where things go from here. And dude, man, I do need to mention this and I'll shut up. But there was, I think it was a Miss Jessica or something.
Yes.
It was like, hey, your camera setup looks good. What are you rocking? All right. So dude, it's a cheap, 1080p Pro Stream, right, Chris? Camera, like webcam. But if you happen to have an NVIDIA graphics card in your PC, you can download for free NVIDIA Broadcast. And what that does is it adds the bokeh effect. It blurs everything out. Like this isn't this isn't one of our cameras that we film with where it's a shallow depth of field. This is all just AI or whatever, where it blurs it out. We could put different backgrounds on it. Yeah, I would highly recommend NVIDIA Broadcast and a cheap 1080p stream. Now, like I said, the only caveat is you have to have an NVIDIA graphics card to run the free app, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
But dude, it's worth it. It ups the production value like so much. Like, and just throwing a little light at like a 45-degree angle, you'd be surprised what that does too. So those are your 2 free filmmaking tips, cabbies.
Yeah, there's no cost for that, Jessica, either. You're not going to have to tip Tyler after the show, so that's good. And Scott was kind of like questioning Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Scott, your local investigator is none other than Dave McCullough from Squatchachusetts. And if you contact Dave, he can tell you all about the experiences that he's had in your home native Massachusetts. But we've interviewed, I don't know, dozens of people at this point that have had first-person encounters. And I would not call them liars. I'll put it that way. So, including Matt Knapp, who was one of our co-hosts that had a sighting. But it is very difficult to believe because we tend to think that everything that's in our reality, we should be able to perceive it. We should be able to go out in the woods and see it. Well, I can tell you there are a lot of, and I think everybody here can tell you, there are a lot of unsuspecting people on the Appalachian Trail who got a little bit of a surprise. And that's fairly close to all of you on the East Coast, or me who grew up on the East Coast with you. So yeah, let's go over to our curly-headed, the unbelievable investigator, Courtney Connected.
Hey, so I just wanted to say that I felt like, and this is, totally props to you guys, the filmmakers, that the paranormal team, it was such compelling filmmaking to see them support one another when they got into jams or there was acrimony and they were feeling the vibes of the place and having this tension with one another. I thought you guys did a really good job showing how they supported one another. There was differences between them, but the thing that really stood out to me, and I'm wondering if you noticed anything, were there different skills with the different techniques? Particularly this Estes method, which I've never heard about. And I think it was Amanda and Jules who were really good with that method. They interchanged a couple times. Somebody maxed out, the other person stepped in to help. And you see this all the way through the whole film where they're helping one another. You see Becky take Seth out, one time where he becomes overwhelmed and it's just an intense thing. So when you were filming them, and you saw them making these decisions, sometimes executive decisions by Becky to keep people safe. what did you think when you saw them using certain methods or techniques? Did you see at all as observers that some people had better outcomes with certain types of techniques or software that they used? Because they had the spirit box, they had spirit oil, they had ropes, they had tarot cards. I mean, anybody who's followed, the esoteric community is going to see a wide range of skills being put on display. So did you think that
Hell yeah.
you could really see there with them on location some of their talents come through when somebody would step up and help somebody else out? Did you see that come through with the spirits, that they came through this process more with others?
I mean, I could definitely saw that Jules was very affected. She's such like a fun, bubbly person who's jokey and jokes the whole time, and she cried in this film because she was so affected by an Estes section. And that was like super. We were not expecting that at all because it's just not her persona. But like that method, I've never done it, but from my understanding, it should be universal. Like, the way the technology works, it's just whether the spirits are speaking to you and you're picking them up through the device. But as far as like the intuitives go, I'm sure, yes, they have, like we were talking about earlier, they have probably some different skill sets and different feelings that they are able to tap into. But I think maybe it's a matter of the years of experience some of the investigators had over some of the other ones who are able to kind of discern a little bit differently, maybe more quickly invalidate things that probably are just, whatever the environment it has, as opposed to automatically going to the spirit. You know what I mean? Becky is very good at that. She, like I said before, she's like incredibly serious and is not trying to just find anything and say it's a ghost. So like, because us as filmmakers, like, yeah, it's a ghost. Yes. Yeah.
Lean
She's
into
like,
it.
"No,
Lean
guys."
into it.
She's like, no, guys, sit over there.
Calm
It's
down,
not a
brothers.
ghost. And we're like, all
Get
right,
down.
all right, Becky. So that's what I think it's more of. The more, some of them were very, very experienced and others were less experienced. But as far as the intuitives go, they're like their own thing and they have their own gifts. And so that I can't really speak too much on that.
Yeah, dude, and the intuitives, they're always wild. Like, I can't tell you how many productions I've been on. Okay, well, actually, it's been 3 now at this point. But the meet on 3 different productions where, unbeknownst to them, because we don't, we get like, we let the cast and the investigators like relax by themselves. As Chris and I have to go set up lights in a room before we, or whatever it is, there's a lot of downtime. We're not up their butts the entire time. So, like it's, dude, I'm losing my train of thought here. Darn it. It was about Seth and, dude, all 3 of these different productions where between Chris and I over talking on the side and just how things are playing out, every single time when it gets to the point where I'm like, oh, Chris, dude, like I don't know what to do, man. Like, this is really stressful. Dog, every single time. And like, I'm putting on a good front. It's not like I'm walking around being miserable. Like, I'm always happy-go-lucky. But inside, I'm like, dude, like, man, something's got to give. And every single time, dude, they come up, they either put their hand on my back and be like, Tyler.
Yeah, they do that. That is true.
You need this. I'm here. Like, every time, dude. And I'm like, what, Chris? And then I bring this up with Chris. Chris is like, bro, why don't they ever come put their hand on me? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe, I guess you're not like stressed out or
No.
you're not giving off those vibes of stress. But like, that's just been something cool that I've had the really neat experience of having with the, and like every time they do it, like whatever that knot in my stomach or anxiety, like, dude, it just like melts away. So I don't, placebo effect maybe, but it's been cool how they always happen to like just gravitate to me just randomly. I'm just walking by and like, hey, Tyler, hold on. Like, wait, what? Dude, thank you. That I feel so much better.
I think it's the beard. I really do. Excellent.
Could be.
Actually, we have something from the chat here, and then I have a question for Nathan. So this one, and I'm going to read this in the Irish accent, of course, because it's Patty Murphy. If you have another project that you need folks for, hit me up. I'm a highly sensitive, work in forensic psychology, and I'm a practicing witch. I'm here for you. So that is from Patty Murphy.
Yeah.
So if you decide that you need somebody that's a practicing witch and you would like to have her, she
Oh.
lives in Massachusetts, and you can hit me up and I'll connect you with her.
Yeah, we have a contact form on our website, docksidemedia.com.
Which is here.
And
So-
we encourage anyone who has any kind of story, skill, idea, anything like that, just hit us up. We may not, jump on it right away, but we want to get in contact with people like that. So yeah, go to Dockside Media, fill out the form.
Fill out the form, Patty Murphy, and get on the show with them already. All things Dockside Media right there on your screen. I've been practicing the Irish, Nathan, man. We're not messing around, man.
If we ever make a cartoon and need voiceover work, DJ, we're calling you, bro.
Give me a call, brother. Give me a call, man.
We could cut. You can cover at least 10 to 15 characters.
Yeah, I've got, I've been working on a whole bunch of accents, and you guys mentioned the chat. I want to, before I even ask Nathan this question, yeah, our chat is very active and very live, and when you interact with the chat will interact with you. If you ignore them and you just let it scroll up the screen and you don't engage them and you don't put them up on the screen, then they'll ignore you. So, and that paid real dividends, because a lot of these people you see here showed up at the dinner we had in Massachusetts last Sunday, and I got to meet them in person and talk to them till their heart was content. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience to get to meet them. They're telling you their screen name, and then you're seeing them in real life. So, so thank you, everybody in the chat. The mods are doing an outstanding job of putting all your stuff up, the movie, the links. Julie, put up where it is on Amazon, how people can contact you. Sherry, you guys are the best. Now I've got a question for Nathan from Beatriz, one of your colleagues, a cab collaborator from True Crime Unsolved, Cab TCU. And she kind of wants to know, and actually I think Josie was kind of last night wanted to know, what do you think is happening with these spirits when these people die, Nathan? What are your thoughts on when a person, unfortunately or tragically, expires physically? What happens to that spirit, that consciousness? Please.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know for sure. What I do feel confident saying is that we're facing this question in a more honest way than I think we've had in a long time. Our kind of predecessors were more comfortable dealing with this issue, and then in the 20th century, and I mean the 19th and 20th century, we kind of said, that's a bunch of hooey. We're not going to think about that anymore. But we're now coming back around, and I think this documentary is good evidence of that as well. That we have a younger generation that is embracing just these questions, period, where they were kind of shunned aside before. But there are lots of interesting data points that we can look at. I mean, we've got research that's been done on past lives through the University of Virginia, where people have had really uncanny experiences of past lives, and they've had even physical evidence that has connected them to a past life. And so there's something that seems to be pointing to the fact that consciousness does persist after death. And of course, near-death experiences are another good data point to look at there. People who have a brush with death, they come back and talk about this very vivid experience of the afterlife. I think if you kind of start putting these things together, you begin formulating some picture that consciousness does persist. And in terms of the kind of hauntings, the way I think about that is there's and you kind of hear this a lot in the people that are investigating this kind of activity. There's this sense of being stuck in a place. The energetic resonance is just sort of tethered to that location, or sometimes it's to an object, right? It's very much connected to a thing. And oftentimes what you see the paranormal investigators do is they're trying to sort of help the deceased let go of that connection, right? Because that it's not helping them move on to wherever they must have to move on to beyond that. I don't think it means necessarily move on to nothingness. I think that there's this they kept, you know how people, right? Everybody knows a person like this who, you know, they're like a hamster on a wheel, right? And they get a thought in their head, they get something, and they're stuck there. They're stuck in that cycle of behavior, that cycle of thinking. I mean, to some degree, all of us do this with something or another. But there are people who really just literally can't get off of a certain cycle that they're on. And I think that oftentimes persists right off, you know, until the moment that they die. You know, they die with intense regrets. They die with these intense feelings of connection to a person, an object, a place, you know, that they can't let go of that. And I think we tend to think of ourselves as bodies, but if we think of ourselves as minds, and we think of the reality as the reality around us as sort of parts of our minds, then we're kind of replaying that reality over and over and over again as our mind moves on into its sort of next iteration. So I mean, it's a long answer. I don't have the perfect answers here. I don't know that anybody really does. But what I'm excited about is that with films like this, with people who are in films like this, we're at a place now where I think people are more comfortable exploring these questions. And these are big questions. We should be willing to tackle these, and willing as well, I think, to suspend judgment on it. It's easy to say, you know, that's a bunch of hooey, I don't believe it. But everybody, I mean, I think this is true for everyone. And people may not admit it, but everyone's had an experience that's just strange, and that it's really hard to explain. And how do you square that with the world that we've grown up in that sort of says there are explanations for everything? You know, science has figured it all out. You know, if you can't see it, it's just imaginary. Like, you know, I don't think it works. I just don't think that's satisfactory. I think we have to be willing to confront those assumptions and say to ourselves, you know what, just because we were born into a world where those assumptions were foundational, it doesn't mean those assumptions are actually true. It just means that's the kind of the operating language that we've inherited. And so when you are willing to question that and kind of re-examine that, you're making space for new patterns of thinking that I think maybe reveal new answers to us that we haven't been ready to listen to before now.
Yeah.
And I love that answer. That's kind of what I was expecting, Nathan. And by the way, one of our colleagues from Australia is in here, Aspasia from Down South Anomalies. When we were on Untold Network, her and her husband Jay are on there. Do I have you starred? But yeah, Aspasia, thank you for tuning in. And yeah, I would love to be on your show. Although there are actually a lot smarter people than I on this panel that you should have before me. But yeah, just let me know what your email, how to get a hold of you, and Down South Anomalies, Jay and Aspasia. They're brilliant. These guys have read every book on the unknown that you could imagine, and they have in their home. So anyway, thank you for that answer. You know, while we're on that topic, would Courtney and Deb and Chris and Tyler also like to speak about what happens to Hera? What are you doing in the shot right here? You didn't ask Tyler if you can get in the shot. You didn't ask Chris if you can get in the shot. So that means
like
get
her
out the shot.
In the foreground's good, but we got to get her blurred out. That's going to give you high production value.
Yeah, you know what? I need that software just so I can blur you out. Okay. Anyway, she doesn't care. All right. So I'm sorry. Would you guys, Courtney, would you like to tackle that one? Please, ma'am.
Courtney, before you rock this, I don't mean to interrupt, but yo, shout out Anjali. I see she just commented in the chat. Anjali, Anjali, rewind about an hour. You got yourself a name drop when when my crazy knucklehead butt came out to film you in front of the Lincoln Memorial for Conscious Contact.
The legend is. I'm sorry, the legend is in the building. Anjali, my homegirl. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Court.
Oh, I have to say that was the first thing I ever saw about her was that, you know, filming of her out in front of the steps. And so you guys did a great job because I didn't know who she was, and you brought that out so everybody could see it. So that was a huge impact that you made. And it's great to see her here tonight. I didn't see her in the chat. I'm glad she's here. I didn't want to go into depth because I think Nathan did a really good job about, you know, the history, where we are now, contemporary thought on, you know, afterlife and consciousness. But I did want to mention one just a little afterthought from what Nathan said that sprang to mind was that I do feel in some ways in this era we are obsessed with youth and anti-aging and some of these other things, and we're not necessarily embracing aging and our passing and the passage. And one of the things that I did want to say, that I saw that I thought it did a good job. I wouldn't normally watch a production like this, but it was Chris Helmsworth's Limitless. And he was going through his, diagnosis potentially of his genetics of having Alzheimer's and dealing with that, on real time on camera with the researchers. And he went through this process with a death doula, where they take him through these practices to prepare him for death. Because he does this whole production about being young, what he does to stay young, but then also what happens when you age and gaining weight and losing sight and losing sound, right? So I thought that was pretty well done. And I think that we're also embracing that more now. I'm seeing a huge wellspring of practitioners, of people who are doing, death process doula and other kinds of grief work to help people. So I do think there's more acceptance, of the passing and what that means to help people detach before they actually pass. But I think there could be a lot more done. So that's the only thing that I wanted to mention about, where you go. I think these things are happening, right now in our communities. So that was all.
There are people that can't that are connecting with past lives, children that could not possibly have known that person existed and be able to recount finite details like we talked about it on last night's show, the state trooper's son from Indiana that was connecting with the World War II pilot who crashed off the waters in Okinawa off at Iwo Jima. And then when they rowed the boat over there, he started crying when it got to that GPS location. I'm sorry, please go ahead with the next person. Would that be Debs? Would you like to give yours, and then we'll get to Tyler and Chris? When people die.
Well, I think I've done a lot of research as of late on NDEs, and specifically, I've been listening kind of nonstop to interviews. And of course, an aspect of that is that the person has died and they leave their body. And there seems to be like a consistent narrative about the response to the body. Like they're usually like, hey, that's my body. I'm going to hang out around it for a little bit, but I'm not that attached to it. So I'm gone. So one of the things that has been implied is that for the NDE experience, you stay around it because you're not going to completely pass over. But if you go further into the experience, you go further away from it, right? So my thought is, if we're dealing with attachment, they may not be going as far away in that death experience. They might not be. And one of the other things I wanted to say about what I've observed with that so far is simply that what you think you know about that, like, it gets unraveled with the next interview. Okay, so even though we're looking for patterns, it's almost like impossible to be able to find the patterns consistently in any of these experiences. So it's like that's why it is what we call the paranormal, because we cannot always answer. We just don't have the ability to do so. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to add.
Thank you, Debs, for that perspective. Let's go with Tyler and then Chris, please.
And the prompt was, "You're dead. What happens?"
Yeah,
What
like
happens
what do
next?
yes, because I have another question about the crew, but yeah, please go ahead with that one.
Okay. Well, man, I'm optimistic and I'm having a ton of fun in this life. So I'm trying to manifest living like to 200 or 300. I think it's doable. That's what I'm swinging for. If I end up a little short, so be it. But that's my goal. And dude, I'm open-minded, man. They're talking about the reincarnation and past lives. Chris and I would love to make a doc on that because there are so many people that, man, as children, at least from the different stuff I've been exposed to, it's like, it seems like a lot of children happen to be more prone to it. And as you kind of grow up, they can sometimes grow out of that. But yeah, naming places that they were of famous people and just things that you wouldn't know at 5 years old without like doing an incredible amount of research. Like this is stuff that's not even like widely published. So yeah, fascinated. I'd be open to that. Some sort of afterlife, some sort of, man, I don't know. This stuff's crazy. Just how many dimensions are there, right? Like, dude, we only see in so many bandwidths and frequencies and dog, like that's just how we evolved. But bro, there's Wi-Fi signals flying through my body right now or bouncing off my body or whatever happens. So it's like, oh dude, I just can't see them. And, you know, this stuff with people, you know, taking DMT or whatever and having these experiences, and a lot of them reporting similar elf like creature people or whatever, just, you know, all these things. It's like, oh dude, that's crazy. These people are all separately reporting similar stuff. Maybe they're gaining access to another dimension. So man, I kind of like what Nathan said, bro. I don't have any like answer of what happens. I'd be cool with any of it. And I'd be open to all of it. So I think one of the reasons too why Chris and I maybe don't have a ton of like hitchhiker experiences with paranormal stuff following us home is like, dude, when we go into these, like we have the purest of intentions. Like, hey, we're here to try and make a documentary, but have fun and enjoy life. We're not trying to antagonize spirits and like, oh, can we get them to like do something? What if I really make fun of them? Or like, dude, no, we're being respectful. Like, dude, this is cool. Let's just see if we can experience something or get some data points. So yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know, dude, but I'm down with any of it. And yeah, 200 to 300 years, somebody, like whatever, do the Reddit bot remind me in 200, 300, or I guess only 160 years from now. See if Tyler's still here. We'll check back.
Tyler, if you want to do that, you got to do Brian Johnson's whole protocol. Don't die. Which
Yeah,
means,
true.
You know, no coffee, no nicotine, no smoking. You know, none of that. That goes out immediately, and you take.
Dude, well, hey, I just started it.
Sleep at 8.
I just started intermittent fasting here, like 6 days ago. I've been rocking 18 hours, and like, dude, feeling great. So I'm moving in the right direction.
Hell yeah, you are. Hello, Amy. We got to meet Amy the other night, also at that dinner. Amy Positive Pathways, who's also like I believe she's a mental health professional as well, like kind of like two of our panelists here below me. So anyway, yeah, I guess it's down to Chris. Chris, people die, and what the hell happens?
Yeah, for me, I think that people are very short-sighted. You know, we try to live and survive the day, and we forget that like we are made of stars. You know, stars from billions of years ago and millions of years ago, and all that stuff. Like we are part of a larger cosmic process. So we were existed in some form, atoms before. And we will transfer into something else. Our energy in some level will always exist and be passed through this universe. And so I don't remember what my existence was like before I was born here. And maybe I won't know what it's like in this version of myself after I die, but I like to think that some part of me still exists, or I know some part of me will still exist in some level. So that is enough for me. I think the most thing that scares most people about death is the painful process of, one, the pain of dying, and two, leaving behind the ones we love. But I don't remember the pain before I was in this form of my body, and so I probably won't remember it after, but maybe I'll have different experiences then. So I like to try and be more positive like that.
I don't know. I think we need two new co-hosts on Calling All Beings. Nathan, what do you think?
Very solid. Yeah, you guys are welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
What a barrier. I love it.
Guys are
I've
brilliant,
co-hosted with Tyler before, by the way.
You have?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That gentleman from the Nimitz incident. He was a
Kevin
radar.
Day?
Kevin Day. Yep. There you go.
I was going to say, if you know, it made me think earlier to stitch back. If you're doing something on the NDEs, everybody on the panel here is friends with James Indoli, and he's had a prolific NDE experience. Do you guys know who he is engaging the phenomenon? No?
Mm-mm.
Nope,
He's
I'm
one of
making a
the,
note of it now, though.
Nathan, how do you explain James Indoli?
He's the human Sasquatch of ufology. He's the gentle giant of. He's James is an incredible person who is also just a very large person, very tall guy, very strong guy. And he's had incredible experiences, as DJ says. He's had NDEs, OBEs, out of body experiences. He's had many contact experiences with UFOs. He's been an ardent advocate for ufology and disclosure, and a kind of a quiet. He's one of those just dedicated, quiet forces in the movement to getting more information and answers. He's kind of behind a lot of people, and he's like he's the best cheering section you could ever hope for. You know, he's just really supportive. He doesn't want to hog the limelight. He just wants to help and wants to lift up voices that are emerging in the community and to kind of cheer them on. We owe a lot to James because he's been so encouraging to us over the years doing the show. And I think he's a great resource. He's incredibly knowledgeable.
Yeah. We should
And
definitely
he's our
talk to
next
him.
guest.
Oh, we should definitely talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
He will be on Cab next month. And I ended up seeing him in New York. Typically, when I go to New York to see my hometown friends, I will have a few minutes with James, and then I'll go see my friends. This time, I brought him. He brought his daughters to the restaurant, who I got to meet, both his daughters, and he got to mingle in with my friends. I said, if you have questions about the phenomenon, ask this cat. James was so kind and so positive, probably because, you know, I don't get to see him as much now with the, you know, that I'm doing another genre, but he really is. And in terms of an interviewer, he is among the very top in our space. And there are PhDs that reach out to James and confer with James that other people wish that they could call that person. So, and he's gotten us guests that, frankly, we wouldn't have gotten, you know, without him. So anyway, so that's James. And well, yeah, you guys can always reach him because you can reach me and I can put you in touch with him.
All right. We will definitely let you know.
And I want to get in touch with,
ready to film, but we'll get on that.
Okay, thank you. And you got my number, so we can remain in contact. And I really am thinking about having Seth about the young lady that was on last night named Josie and what happened with her. And I'm going to send you guys that episode so you can scroll to that part where she comes on. She talks about the spirit, the good spirit, the young girl. She talks about the bad spirit that she really doesn't like, that probably scares her mom. And then you're going to see when she has this flip all of a sudden and everything changes, and then she's able to somehow defeat that. And the chat was I mean, who's prepared for that? I mean, if you guys were doing an interview on StreamYard, would you be prepared for that?
No.
I mean, it's like,
No.
It's the most craziest moment in the history of Calling All Beings, and I'm here to tell you, we've had a lot of crazy moments on Calling All Beings in 3.5 years.
I can tell with this bunch.
You know, DJ, I don't want to interrupt, but it's weird. I was just thinking about the documentary, and so for you guys, I do the like artwork for the show, and as I'm generating the artwork, trying to find the image that like I feel like fits what we want to do or what the show's going to be about. Sometimes I have a really good sense of what that's going to be and what I want to do with that creative, you know, piece. And sometimes I just don't know. But I iterated this piece like over like many times yesterday, trying to figure out like what was going to work. And I landed on the one that spoke to me the most, which was this image of a door in an empty room with like this like phantasm, you know, sort of wispy, cloud-like kind of substance. And it just occurred to me like that how that was a character in your documentary. Like I said no to so many other images that had literal like ghosts or phantasms or whatever, and they didn't speak to me, but this one with the door was the one. Anyway, sorry.
That does make sense though, right?
Yep. Yo, real quick before Nicholas leaves, Nicholas, I saw you from the UK.
Yep.
Dog, you're in luck. Surrounded by Spirits is free with ads on Amazon in the UK. We found out because we just got a report. We're closing in on 1 million minutes streamed in the UK for Surrounded by Spirits. So, Nicholas, I just wanted to make sure. Yep, you know
Thank
that.
you for.
And I saw you mention like, oh, hey, dude. If you ever come to UK, look me up. Like, oh yeah, no, that's noted. We'll do that. You might be surprised you get a knock on your door like 3 weeks from now, but we appreciate the offer.
Yeah, he has shown me some videos where it's like the camera's on his coffee table. He's what appears to be an entity is sitting next to him, because I don't know how you would fake something like that. It looks like there's something next to him that looks misty, and he, obviously he has a name. I think it's Fuggy is this entity that he speaks with, and he did some spirit box stuff. I've got a whole bunch of stuff from Mick, but it's pretty wild, man. So yeah, he's connected to some sort of a spirit. So anyway, I guess this question would be for you guys, and then we're getting ready to close it up, but let's get this in there.
Does fear give entity strength? Can you shake attachments by believing the power? So I'm not particularly religious, but I think spiritual belief or any kind of belief, positivity empowers you in some ways. I think just in general in life, if you approach things with a negative belief system, you're going to manifest negativity in your life. And if you approach things positively, you're going to manifest that. And I think if the spirits are out there, they're going to see what kind of energy you're bringing into a place and into their energy. And when two energies collide, you get what you get. But that's my kind of belief.
And so we can take that same theory, because when you talk to people like James Iandoli, who's had, as Nathan said, multiple contact experiences, what you're bringing into it, what your intention is a big part of like CE5, and Nicholas is also into that. And if you talk to Bigfoot investigators, there is quite a swath of Bigfoot investigators that will tell you that what energy you bring into the woods, when they're there. I mean, you're in like, what's that big park in Ohio that I can't think of the name of it right now, that big state park where people go. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of investigators that go there. Your colleague Seth has been there. But the point is that what you bring into the woods can determine what kind of experience you have. If you're going to get shouted out of there, if you're going to get rocks thrown at you, or if you're just going to hear stuff and it's not going to come and ingress on your camp. So yeah, it seems to be universal with all these three, which Deb, firmly believes is phenomenon. And I think, with good reason. With that said, I would like to get final thoughts from everybody. And of course, for our two guests, to promo docksidemedia.com and anything that you'd like to promote, please. So let's start with our guests, and then we'll go to Money Nathan and Debs and Courtney.
Go ahead, Tyler. You're the hype
Salt
man.
Fork. Thank you.
Man, well, dude, again, Tyler with Dockside Media. That's right. The dopest documentary production company this side of Milky Way. Dig it, dug it, dagnabbit, let's go. Check it. Chris and I, dude, we got 7 documentaries out there. I can name them all. All right, I will. Conscious Contact, Full Disclosure, The Ghosts of Gettysburg, Secrets of the Sasquatch, In Plain Sight, The Intelligence Community and UFOs. Oh, the clap, dude, you threw me off. Darn it, I was on a roll. It's all good. Ghosts in the Graveyard, Pure Pandemonium, The Ghosts of Grand Midway, and then Surrounded by Spirits. And then we've got Historically Haunted with Amy Bruni in production now, and will be out a little later this year. Dude, thanks so much for having us on. Doubling back to my man's asking about like, intentions or thoughts and stuff, dude, like affect reality. I'm a big believer in like the power of positive thinking. And dude, I wouldn't be surprised if we can manifest some of our destiny. Like, dude, Chris, sure as crap, when we filmed these number of interviews and he cut together Conscious Contact Full Disclosure, I watched it. I'm like, bro, we're getting picked up by a distributor. Like this is getting picked up by a distributor, dog. This is insane. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Bro, I'm like, okay, Google, what's the most popular UFO distribution company? At the time, it was 1091 Pictures. They had like James Fox's movies, right? And dude, I'm like, yeah, sure enough, whatever. I don't need to get all into it. But bro, we took a swing, boom. We ended up getting a deal with 1091 Pictures and making all these docs. And dude, it's so much fun and it's such an adventure. The people in the chat, the cabbies saying I look like Bradley Cooper. You made my night, dude. That was
I don't want to. I'm gonna not ever hear the end of that.
Or Sean McVay, the Rams coach. Sometimes I'll get a little Sean McVay comparison, but dude, let me just say, Chris and I have been on a number of podcasts, and I have thoroughly enjoyed being on this one specifically.
Yeah, for sure,
I love the dynamic, the diversity. It seems like similar to Dockside Media, like, hey, we got our strengths and our weaknesses, and we lean into the ones with the strengths, and and they help out the weakness, and blah 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 to get these made. And I can tell that it's cool that you guys have all your bases covered between the four of you contributing to making something entertaining, but also like, dude, let's generate discussion. Let's try and inch this ball forward. Because 100 years from now, wouldn't it be pretty cool if Calling All Beings played some part in disclosure or gravitic anti-gravitic technology? Who knows, dude? The sky's the limit, bro. I believe in all you guys. And man, I wish nothing but good things upon you. And dude, I'm looking forward to making more docs so we can reach back out to you and come back on here.
Oh hell yeah! That's what they call a guarantee. So let's get Chris in there because we got into some adorable Chris comments there. So yeah. Come on.
Thank you. Oh, I don't know. I just want to say thank you guys for having us on. This is great. Really enjoyed it. I do really like your format, kind of how you pass around and let everybody have their moment to talk. So this was a really fun experience. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. You guys both have great beards, and are really awesome. Really awesome people to hang out with. Let's go with, well, you know what? Let's go with Courtney Connected. She's a Pennsylvanian. Yeah. What's up, man? What's your final comments?
Oh, my biggest thing tonight is just learning so much, learning about Anjali and how you guys were involved in, her big coming out, and, that was epic, and all the other productions that you've done something in Gettysburg. Now I have to go watch it, because I have friends who are in Gettysburg that do the whole scene. So it was really lovely just learning about all the work that you do. And I think my biggest takeaway is, being open-minded. You guys are both open-minded, and you carry that with you doing your filmmaking, and it shows, through the film. It really does. The audience can see that you guys are open-minded. So I think that's my biggest takeaway tonight in interfacing with you and learning about you, is to carry that forward, is just keep your mind open, see what happens, see where the good vibes lead you. They could lead you to some really good, interesting, creative stuff.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on. That's the other thing girlfriend want to say. All right, go ahead, Debs.
Well, obviously, I'm thrilled to hang out with Tyler again. Tyler is awesome, and it was good to get to hang out with you, Chris. You're also awesome.
Thank you.
For some reason, since I started studying the paranormal in this regard, like I'd studied ghosts as a kid, but like when I went to like UFOs and broadened my horizons, I suddenly had to just share things and not hold back. And for some reason, I have to share that one common thing that people are talking about in NDEs is that everyone is connected to what they call the source, right? So when you said earlier that we're all like the stars,
Mhm.
it's literally to people who have NDEs who come back from the other side. They say that we're all like cells on one giant entity that is the source. Something to think about. I just wanted to
Yeah.
leave you guys with something to think about. And thank you again, and keep making awesome movies. If you make one about NDEs, you know I'm going to watch it, and all the other stuff you're doing is great.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Nathan, as my homie from West Roxbury would say, you're connected to the sauce. You know, if I can use my mask. You're connected to the sauce, bro. It's like,
Oh, Nathan's
oh,
on
he's
mute.
on mute. We got to unmute you, brother, man. There you go. Go ahead.
Boom. How about that?
Yes,
I
sir.
was saying some nice things about DJ.
Yeah,
So-
take two is never as good. That's all right.
exactly. Don't even try. But guys, listen, thanks so much for being with us and spending time with us, entertaining our questions and putting up with our shenanigans. You're a part of our story now, and we're a part of your story, and we're really grateful and honored to be a part of that. We're cheering you guys on. This was an incredible production that you put together. It showed that you've really brought to life the dream that you came into, that you brought into the world, and it's developing and it's growing. And just like you have a kid and you're raising it, you don't know how to have, when you have a kid, you don't know how to raise that child. And every year you learn something new, and the child hopefully gets a little bit better and better. Well, the productions get better and better as well. As I'm confident in that. And we're excited to kind of follow you guys and see what you do in the future. So keep up the great work, and you're always welcome back to come on the show. Good to have you with us.
Awesome. Thank you,
Amen.
Nathan.
Yeah, it means a lot. Thanks, man.
Okay, Nathan, this one is cruel from Miss Jessica. This is cruel. Okay.
I mean, the bar is kind of low there, I guess, right?
All right.
Low hanging fruit, but I still appreciate it. Making the gesture.
All right. Man, you guys were just so much fun to hang out with. So Jessica was asking how to support you. Obviously, go to www.docksidemedia, go to their Facebook page, see what those documentaries are, and find out where they are being platformed as we speak so that you can watch those movies. And that is, I know, Jessica, I'm kidding. So yeah, please go and support and watch those movies, particularly Surrounded by Spirits that just came out, and then you can kind of work your way down through their catalog of films. And you guys were just so much fun. I think you did a fantastic job with a very authentic piece, which is what I liked about it. And I love the people that you chose, or that Becky chose, to be on it.
Yep.
I think that worked out great. And man, you could like do a whole nother place with that same crew, and it would be dope. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You guys are the cat's pajamas. So yeah, I'm going to sleep with a full heart tonight. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We really do.
All right. Man, I'll be in touch with you, brother. Cause I want to try to get Seth for that one thing and see if he's available to come on and chat with that young lady and see what the hell going down in her house.
DJ,
I'm sure he totally would be down.
DJ,
Okay.
I just want to say I'm really impressed that we got Bradley Cooper on the show today. I think we're really up in our game here.
Yeah, I actually, we got to thank Deb, because Deb is the one that put this together for us. I'm glad you mentioned that about Bradley Cooper, the great actor. But thank you, Deb, for putting this together. And
Deb, thanks for all the compliments. Just in the future, I'm watching Chris's screen, and every time, it's kind of obvious that I'm your favorite. And every time you give me a compliment, I watch a small piece of Chris die on his screen. The last time when you were like, "Oh, Chris, Tyler's so good, so you're so fun," I'm like thinking in my head, I was telepathically saying, "Say something nice about Chris. Say something nice about Chris. This could go south." And then you were like, "Chris, it was nice meeting you too." I'm like, "Okay, cool, you saved it." But then you started again here, and I'm like, "Oh, Deb, in the future, start with the Chris compliment first, then come
It's fine.
to me."
I don't need it. I'm okay.
Yeah,
Chris could
dude,
be my
this
favorite when we co-host together in the future.
There you go.
this is like Nathan with me with the hair, and now you guys going at it on who's the cute one. This is great. I don't think we're gonna beat this. On behalf of Chris, Tyler, Nathan, Debs, Courtney, this is DJ saying peace out, one love. We'll see you down the road, and of course, we're always wondering what's up around the bend.